Toyota just put a turbo in the 4Runner. Honda already turbocharged the CR-V. Nissan handed the Pathfinder a CVT and walked away whistling. The era of the simple, naturally aspirated V6 bolted to a real automatic is over, and every YouTube channel out there is still pointing you at the cars that killed it. I've spent 20 years under the hood. I know exactly which engines come in healthy and leave in pieces, and which ones come in at 180,000 miles and barely need a handshake. Right now, in May 2026, used SUV prices are dropping for the first time in 5 years. The Manheim Index just fell in April, and analysts are calling for another 4% drop before the year is out. That means the best used SUVs under $15,000 are sitting on lots right now, priced like nobody wants them. Some people don't want them. Those people are wrong. And I'm going to tell you exactly which 3 to buy before the rest of the market figures it out. The car at number 1 on this list? A dealership manager told me I was out of my mind for recommending it. Said the brand wasn't aspirational enough. That was 3 years ago. That car is now the hardest one to find clean under $15,000 in my area, and it's getting harder every week. Stick around. Entry number 3, Mazda CX-5, 2014 to 2016, Skyactiv G 2.5L. Number 3. The pick that surprises people the most when I say it, because most buyers looking at this segment walk right past it. And that's exactly why it's still under $15,000 in 2026. Here's the number you want to hear. According to J.D. Power, the first-generation Mazda CX-5 has resale value that rivals Toyota and Honda. Oil change, tire rotation, cabin filter. You're looking at roughly $700 to $900 a year in maintenance if you do it right. That's not a typo. That's what this car actually costs to own. The reason is the engine. The 2014 to 2016 CX-5 with the 2.5L Skyactiv G is naturally aspirated, no turbo, no belt-driven CVT, paired to a 6-speed conventional torque converter automatic. Mazda didn't put a turbo in this engine until 2019. What you're getting in 2014 to 2016 is the cleanest version of this platform before the complexity crept in. Timing chain, not belt. Direct injection, which means you'll want a walnut blast service around 100,000 miles to clean carbon off the intake valves. That's a $400 to $600 job once. And it's the same service any direct injection engine needs. I had a 2015 CX-5 Touring AWD come in last fall. The owner bought it at 92,000 miles for $12,400. He was nervous, first Mazda he'd ever owned. I put it on the lift, pulled the oil, checked the transmission fluid, and inspected the front subframe. You know what I found that needed attention? One rear caliper that was sticking. $290 fix. That car rolled out of my shop and hasn't been back. That's what a well-maintained Skyactiv G looks like at 92,000 miles. When you're looking at one of these, pop the oil cap and check the underside for a gray, mayonnaise-like buildup. That's coolant in the oil, usually a head gasket or a cracked block on any car, but it's a known failure signature. Take 10 seconds. It'll tell you more than an hour with a salesman. Who should or who shouldn't buy? Who should buy a 2014 to 2016 CX-5? You want a modern, comfortable SUV that drives like it has a point of view and won't strand you. You're keeping it past 200,000 miles. You want the lowest insurance rate in the compact SUV segment. Who should walk away? You want to feel like you're driving something with attitude. You need a third row. You're going off-road regularly. The CX-5 is a pavement car that happens to handle light gravel without drama. That's its ceiling. Mazda built a naturally aspirated engine in 2014 that people are still hunting for in 2026 because everything they replaced it with is worse. Think about that. My verdict: 2015 or 2016 Touring AWD, under 110,000 miles, dealer maintained if you can find the receipts. Buy it without hesitation. That was the modern pick. Number 2 is the one that makes people feel stupid for overlooking it. It's a luxury SUV, for Camry money, and most buyers walk past it because of 4 letters on the back. Entry number 2, Lexus RX330/RX350, 2004 to 2009, 3.3L or 3.5L V6. The number 2 car on this list is sitting at used car lots across America right now, being ignored, because buyers see the Lexus badge and assume the maintenance bill is going to match the prestige. It doesn't. And the people who figured that out 10 years ago are still driving them. I want to tell you about a customer of mine. a retired school principal, who bought a 2007 Lexus RX330 in 2018 at 87,000 miles for $9,200. She called me before she bought it. I told her, get the timing belt done at 90K, change the transmission fluid, done. She's now at 213,000 miles. Original engine. Original transmission. The car has cost her less than $4,000 in non-routine maintenance over 7 years. I looked that up specifically for this video. 213,000 miles. $4,000 in total non-routine repairs. On a Lexus. Here's why. The RX330 uses Toyota's 3MZFE V6, 3.3 liters, naturally aspirated, 230 horsepower. The RX350 upgraded to the 2GRFE, 3.5 liters, 270 horsepower, timing chain instead of belt. Both engines are shared with the Camry and Highlander. Toyota built millions of these across a dozen platforms, which means parts are cheap and every independent shop has seen them. The 6-speed automatic in the RX350 is the U660E, same unit in the Avalon and ES350. Bulletproof when fluid is changed every 40,000 miles. Not the 100,000 the sticker says. Every 40,000. Write that down. The one maintenance item you cannot skip on the RX330, the timing belt. This is an interference engine. When that belt snaps, the valves and pistons meet, and that conversation costs $5,000 minimum. The timing belt job at an independent shop runs $900 to $1,400 including the water pump. Do it at 90,000 to 100,000 miles and you will never think about that engine again. The RX350 has a chain, no belt service. That's the reason to pay slightly more for the 2007 to 2009 model. When you're inspecting one of these, check the rear valve cover gasket area on the RX330. There's a known PCV port clog on the 3MZFE that causes oil to burn and smoke from the back of the engine. You'll smell it before you see it. Pull the dipstick. If the oil is black at 3,000 miles after a change, that's the symptom. The fix is a revised valve cover, $200 to $400 parts and labor. But walk away if the current owner doesn't know what it is, because they haven't been paying attention. Real quick, the stuff I'm laying out right now, the specific defects, the exact service intervals, the dollar amounts? I charge $150 an hour for this in my shop. This channel puts it out every single week for free. If you want to stay on the right side of that information, hit subscribe before you forget. It is literally the cheapest insurance you have ever bought for a vehicle you don't own yet. Who should or who shouldn't buy? Who should buy the RX330 or RX350? You want a comfortable, quiet, reliable daily driver that starts every morning without complaint and has the interior quality of a luxury car at the price of a basic sedan. You're keeping it past 150,000 miles. You hate service advisors and want a car that gives them nothing to work with. Who should walk away? You want something that feels sporty or engaging to drive. You need the latest safety tech. You're under 35 and care what your car says about you. The RX is a car for someone who stopped performing a long time ago. It just works. People pay $12,000 for a Lexus badge and think they're settling. They're not settling. They're winning. The new version of that car costs $58,000, and it doesn't have a better engine. My verdict: find a 2007 or 2008 RX 350 with documented service history, under 140,000 miles, and buy it. Then change the transmission fluid and drive it until your kids inherit it. Alright, 2 down. Now we get to the one that a Toyota dealership manager literally told me was a dead-end recommendation. I kept my mouth shut. His customer didn't. Entry number 1. Toyota 4Runner, 4th generation, 2005 to 2009, 4.0 L1GR, FE V6. Number 1 is the 4th generation Toyota 4Runner, 2005 to 2009. And right now, in May 2026, this car is having a cultural moment that is genuinely moving prices in real time. Toyota just released the 2025 to 2026 4Runner redesign. And for the first time in 4Runner history, the standard engine is a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. The online reaction has been, let's say, divided. The r/4Runner community is full of people who walked into dealerships, sat in the new one, and drove straight to Craigslist for a used V6. Because what they had before was the 1GR FE, 4.0 liters, naturally aspirated, 270 horsepower, timing chain, no turbo, no CVT, 5-speed conventional automatic. This engine has been documented running at 350,000 miles with basic maintenance. I have personally seen a 2006 4Runner SR5 come off a flatbed, brought in for a brake job, at 289,000 miles. The engine didn't even show up on my diagnostic scan. Nothing. The thing was bored out of its mind being in that shop. Now, the dealership manager. 2022. A customer of mine was debating between a new RAV4 and a used 4th Gen 4Runner. I told him, 4Runner, no question, 2007 SR5 V6, $13,500. The dealership manager overheard that conversation in the parking lot. I was on the phone, and actually walked over and said, and I'm paraphrasing, that thing is 12 years old, it's not going to hold up. My customer bought the new RAV4. 6 months later, 2.5L engine started burning oil. He called me. I found him a 2007 4Runner SR5 at 121,000 miles for $11,800. He's at 178,000 miles now. Not a single unscheduled repair visit. Let's talk about money. A 2005 to 2008 4Runner SR5 V6 in decent condition is currently sitting between $9,000 and $14,500 depending on mileage and trim. The V8 trims are higher. Pass on those unless you can verify the coolant history. Common maintenance costs, lower ball joints are a known wear item, budget $400 to $700. Rear hatch glass actuator fails eventually, $300 if you DIY. That's genuinely the list of maintained examples. The 1GR3 doesn't burn oil, doesn't crack its block, doesn't eat rotors. It just runs. For those of you doing the math, you could spend $11,000 on this 4Runner and $1,500 in maintenance over 3 years, or $35,000 on a new compact SUV with a turbo that's never been through one real winter yet. That math is not close. Here's how you check a 4th Gen 4Runner before you buy it. Get under it. Look at the rear differential cover. If there's a subtle seepage of gear oil, that's a common and cheap fix. New crush washer, $40. Now look at the frame rails forward of the rear wheels. Toyota had a frame rust issue on certain earlier Tacomas. The 4Runner shared some architecture, and while the 4Runner frames were more robust, you want to see paint, not flaking metal. Tap the frame rail with a small hammer or your knuckle. Solid metal rings. Hollow thud means rust has worked inside. The thuds will. Who should or who shouldn't buy? Who should buy a 4th Gen 4Runner? You are done with cars that ask you to babysit them. You want something that starts at -20 degrees and shrugs. You're keeping it 10 years minimum. You go anywhere that isn't pure pavement at least occasionally. You want the lowest total cost of ownership in the midsize SUV segment. Who should walk away? You want fuel economy. The 1GR3 gets 17 miles per gallon on a good day, and it doesn't apologize. You want a modern interior. You want parallel park assist. The 4Runner is not trying to impress you. It's trying to outlive you. The dealership manager said this car wasn't aspirational enough. The funny thing is, the people who own 4Runners aren't trying to be aspirational. They're trying to still be driving at 300,000 miles. Those are different goals. My verdict on the 4th Gen 4Runner. It is the last simple, overbuilt, naturally aspirated truck platform SUV you can buy under $15,000 in America. The new one has a turbo. The market figured it out before most buyers did. If you find a clean 2006 or 2007 SR5 V6, buy it before prices move further. Because they will. If you own a 4th Gen 4Runner, drop the year and mileage in the comments. I want to see what some of these things are sitting at now. I've got a customer at 289,000 and I genuinely want to know if someone out there has cracked 300. 3 SUVs. 1 modern compact that nobody's paying attention to. 1 luxury badge that people assume is out of reach. And 1 truck platform V6 that's watching a whole generation of turbo replacements come and go from the sidelines, still running. 20 years of lifting hoods on everything from beaters to brand new press cars tells you which engineering decisions age well and which ones don't. The naturally aspirated engine with a conventional automatic is not old technology. It's proven technology. There is a difference. You now know something that most buyers walking onto a lot this weekend don't know. You know which oil consumption defects to walk away from, which Lexus maintenance item will strand you if ignored and costs $1,100 to prevent, and why the loudest voices online complaining about the new 4Runner are actually doing you a favor, because every one of them is proof that demand for the old V6 is real and growing. Now, if this video kept you from a bad buy, The next question is which SUVs are sitting out there so underpriced that my customers have stopped buying anything else. I did a whole video on the cheap SUVs that everyone ignores but that my regular customers are specifically hunting for. Some of them overlap with today's list, some of them are completely different. That video is the logical next step from this one. It's right there. That's 2 decades at the bench talking. Like, subscribe and share with your loved ones going onto the dealer lot this weekend. Take it or leave it. See you in the next one.